Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today last visited the site about a year ago when his side project, Revolution Saints, released their third record. When we spoke then, he mentioned that his full-time band, the Dead Daisies, now had legendary bassist and singer Glenn Hughes on board, and they were ready to unleash new music with the new lineup. Well, the pandemic changed those plans a bit, but that record, Holy Ground, is now out and was totally worth the wait. Please welcome back Doug Aldrich. Welcome, Doug.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. There you go.
I didn't realize that my
Oh,
camera
with
was off.
guitar in hand.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's so funny. I see you and I'm like, is he seeing me or not? And so then I started flipping around. We're all getting to be Zoom pros these days.
Exactly. Yeah, we're all learning at the same time here.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot to unpack with this record, but let's start with a little bit of history. You and Glenn toured together for a brief time in 2015 as a power trio with Pontus Engberg, and those
Yeah.
shows were amazing. I've heard audio and was hoping you guys would make it to the States, but you never did. Um, and how did you first meet up with Glenn? And when that tour ended, did you have a feeling that you guys would work together again?
Well, we've been friends for years, and so I knew that, our paths were going to cross somehow. I mean, originally, Glenn was talking about doing a solo record and had kind of asked me to be involved, but then he wasn't sure exactly when he was going to do it. Meanwhile, I got the offer to join the Daisies in 2016, and so we were both doing our thing. He did his solo record, but then he went and was doing the classic Deep Purple, which was really successful. Doing that for a couple of years, and I didn't expect to do it, but basically, I found out from management that they had been speaking to Glenn about joining the band, and they called me and said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "That would be amazing. That would be incredible." I never thought of it because Glenn's been super busy, and they said call him, let him talk to him and see what you guys think. And I called him. I go, "What do you think, Glenn? Is this serious?" He goes, "Doug, it's time for you and I to make some music, and we need to do it with the Dead Daisies. It's going to be great. I've already got a couple songs sorted out." And I was like, "That's killer, man." So then immediately, David Lowy and I had been working on music and stuff, but without knowing who's going to be performing on it, you can't really get locked in. But once we knew Glenn was coming in, we specifically designed some things for Glenn, and Glenn did the same for us, and we took them all to the south of France and did a very focused kind of pre-production sort of situation and got busy.
Yeah, well, and that was kind of be my question. You do a lot of the writing in the band, and did you have to rethink what it meant to write a Dead Daisies song with Glenn Hughes singing versus the previous incarnation with John Corabi?
Well, I just know I knew what Glenn liked, and also to be clear, Glenn doesn't need anybody to write with. Glenn wrote a bunch of stuff by himself, and fortunately once we got solid and tight as a family in recording, we all were able to put our best foot forward on each one so that we could be helpful to make each song the best it can be. But when it comes to something that I'm working on, I'm thinking about the singer I'm working with. I would think about John Corabi, or I would think about Glenn, or I would thought about David or whoever, that with Glenn, I knew certain things he likes. He likes heavy grooves, and he likes, he wanted to keep things really simple, but I snuck in a couple of things there that were, like bustle and flow riff. I thought Glenn would really dig that. And he goes, "Hey, I'm going for a really simple vibe." And I go, "Okay, that's cool. But what do you think about this?" He goes, "I love the riff, but I can't sing over that for a chorus." So I said, "Well, let's get a chorus for it and let's see what you think." And we tried a bunch of stuff on that song and it wasn't happening. Finally, David Lowy came up with some chords and Glenn sang something. It was like, great. That's it, man. So, but yeah, to answer your question, yes, I thought about Glenn, for the stuff.
Well, and it's funny for me, the last track on the record, Far Away, is just epic. And it brings in the
Thanks.
best of both of you in terms of, sort of the big kind of epic stuff with Whitesnake and his Deep Purple influence. And I mean, not take anything away from anybody, but it's a song that I don't think any other lineup of this band could have done. I mean, it's quintessentially you and Glenn there, so I think it's really cool to hear. It's such a great
That's
song.
that song was Glenn's baby. He
Mhm.
brought that in, and he played me the his basic parts, and I was like, dude, if we get this right, this could be like a this could be like your Grammy song,
Yeah.
It's something I basically went into it with that one, like I wanted to fulfill Glenn's vision of the song, but I
Mm.
knew I basically knew from experience with doing stuff like that with Whitesnake, where I felt like you got to get the layers right, you got to get
Mm.
the momentum right in the tempos, and then you got to get the guitar treatment right and whatever strings, if we decide to put strings on it, which we did put a little bit, uh, then there's that. But it first came down to the arrangement, so it was like,
Mm.
okay, let's experiment with the arrangement. And we started off with a 10-minute song, and
Mm.
we were asked to cut it down, and we cut it down to 7. So that's where we ended up. And then it was a matter of tracking it and getting the right feel, because some of the riffs felt better at different kind of tempos, and
Mm.
we'd start the song off here, and then we'd go here, and it keep going up and keep going up, and then by the time we got back to the quieter sections after the heavy parts, it was too fast. So it really took a bit of playing live together, the four of us, and finally we got a track that I thought was pretty cool, focusing on the drums. There was guitars on it. Me and David both played, and Glenn played and sang, but I was focused more on making sure the drum track was right. So I
Mm.
went in the studio with Ben Gross, the producer, and we put down a guitar just to see if we could get the transitions right,
Mm.
and it worked out. And it was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the track. And then it was just a matter of, now we had the arrangement done. It was a matter of getting the treatment right for it to make it really, have a good feeling. I mean, I already knew everything Glenn does is he's very soulful. So it was
Yeah.
good. I knew it was going to be brilliant. I don't think he even had to sing anything. But once he does start singing on that verse, it's just like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really cool. And then the
Yeah.
song takes you to some different places.
Yeah, it's a pretty epic track, and really all of them in their own way are. I mean, it's a very strong record end to end. There isn't any filler in it, and you've
Thanks. Well,
mentioned through a lot of these questions so far, how you worked with Glenn and what he brought. You played alongside of him for that tour, and you guys really know each other. A lot of times when key members shuffle in and out of a band, it takes a little while for that relationship to gel with the new guys. But on this record, you guys hit it from the opening beat. Is that because of the relationship you guys had, you and Glenn?
partly, yeah,
Mm.
because he felt like he already knew me.
Right.
I've said sometimes, like, when you go on the road together, you like you know everything about each other, and you spend pretty much. I mean, in the situation when I toured with Glenn, we were always together. We would wake
Mm.
up, get a coffee, go shopping, whatever, just to kill time before sound check, and then we'd do the gig and then kind of pass out, and just go to sleep. But so he knew me well, and it was a matter of him getting comfortable with, and I knew it was going to be great. I knew it in
Yeah.
my heart, but he needed to get comfortable with David and
Mm.
Deen to, basically feel on the same, that we were all working
Mm.
the same together, and that everyone was open. And, of course, he talked to David a lot, and he knew David by the time we got to France.
Mm.
He knew David pretty well, and he'd spend a little time with Dino, but Dino's super easy to get along with. He's a great guy, and super fun. And so we got the perfect studio, and it was
Mm.
in south of France, a place called La Fabrique. And was an old fabric mill, and it was like a giant stone building, and you could live in the house, and then the bedrooms were like above the kitchen. They had a couple of cooks, a couple of chefs, I should say, not cooks. That's like on the ship.
A
They had
little
a couple
higher
of
end.
chefs. Yeah. They would do, really wonderful food for dinner every night. It was like, so we'd wake up, grab some breakfast, go work all day, focused. We wouldn't have to get in a car or anything. We could just walk down the hallway to the studio. And Ben was there the whole time. So the management was there the whole time. Glenn's manager, Jimmy, was there. And our road crew. So we were like a family on the road. It was really like being on the road and getting to know each other. And after a week of that, we were honed in. And like you said, we gelled at that point.
And you brought up David Lowy. Of all the members have been in and out of the band, he's the mainstay. He's sort of the patriarch, the benefactor of the band. But I think he's
the founder. So he's definitely it's his band. So I mean, it's a band, but he's the creator of it. So
that's why talk a little bit. I think most people don't know much about David. What is it that he brings to the band, with his playing and writing contributions?
He is very focused and very very driven. He wants to be the best he can be at whatever he's doing, and it's little things like of course he's got a job that is in the business world that he wants to be really good at, that he's obligated to do that for his family, but he really loves to rock. He loves to play guitar, and he's been doing it for a long time. But he's got a very simplistic, honest style that is that it's kind of inherent in all the Dead Daisies record. It's almost like the way he strikes the guitar chord is just it's very punk in a way.
Yeah.
It's very aggressive and hard driving, and he likes it like that. I mean, he's like. He likes to play like Angus Young or somebody, just digging in, and he's not a lead player. He doesn't no frills guy. But interesting story. Once we got a couple songs tracked, I'd go in and kind of experiment with how to do the guitars or what I was going to contribute to the song. And I'd put my guitar down, and Glenn's bass would be down, the drums would be there, and it would be like, it's kicking pretty good, man. But it definitely took a Dead Daisies turn with David's guitar. It's just, he's got a really big sound. So I think that's the main thing, is just he's an aggressive, simple player. He plays in a way that I don't play. And to that point too, when Glenn wanted to bring some songs to the band, I said, why don't we demo them up, and that way we can present them. And so he was starting to show me the guitar riff on one thing, and I thought, that sounds great, man. I don't want to waste time trying to learn. It wasn't a hard part. It was 2 chords. It was very simple, but there was just a way that he was playing it that had a thing, it was just so I said, let me just record you, and then I'll suss out what you're doing on the guitar later. And so the whole time now that I work with other musicians, I'm learning, even if Deen picked up a guitar one time, he did pick up a guitar, and he's like, hey, I got this riff, which David and I did turn into a song. It didn't go on the record, but Deen plays a guitar differently, and it's kind of cool, so I try to suss that out. But that's, to answer your question in a long form, David brings his guitar sound to the band, and it definitely brings it to Daisies style.
And I think as the mainstay through all the records, that's the Daisy sound, is his guitar behind everything.
Yeah.
And I see you reaching down every now and then. Feel free to break into song anytime you want.
I just broke out my classical. I was just trying to remember. I don't know. I was just trying to remember some old songs.
Yeah.
I forgot the classical doesn't have the dots, so it's been a while. I'm going to start practicing my classical again.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very nice. And when the record came out in January, you guys announced that Deen Castronovo, the drummer and also your partner in Revolution Saints, was leaving the band. And
Dino, come on, Dino.
And recently explained, he was having some back issues and needed some time to recover. With touring still kind of up in the air for at least the next 6-8 months, depending on what goes on with vaccines in the world. I mean, was there any thought of seeing how he's doing after that? Or, I mean, you guys have replaced him with Tommy Clufetos, who's in his second stint with the band. Did you feel that it was time to make the change at the start of the cycle?
No, I mean, Dino, it was up to Dino. We got to rehearse actually in October. It was kind of, it cooled down a little bit in Los Angeles, and everybody came in, and me and Glenn were already here, and we got to rehearse. But Deen was having a hard time. It was bumming him out. It's just like anything. If I had a problem with my fingers, it bummed me out. I can't do what I'm supposed to do, and so he was definitely not feeling good about that. And then, but also last year he had started up a thing with some other guys called the Rise Above. It was a band where he was going to be singing more, and kind of like co-singing it. Like he would be the kind of the main singer. I think he's got a great voice for this kind of really melodic rock, like the Revolution Saints. Yeah. So I think he wants to do that. He wants to go sing, and that's fine, man. And that's the whole thing about the Dead Daisies. It's been a kind of a revolving door, and people can come and go. He played great on the record, but I got to say, I'm really excited to have Tommy Clufetos come in. He's a monster player. I've always wanted to work with him. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I know that he had been busy with Sabbath, and he's been in Ozzy's band for quite some time. And I've seen him play. I'm just like, dude, that guy is insane. He's very powerful. Everybody's got their strengths. Dino obviously was a super percussionist in the kind of, in a sense, like a Ian Pace, where Tommy Clufetos has got his own thing, which is I think it's probably going to lend itself to being a little bit heavier, with Tommy, just because of he's been playing with Tony Iommi and Ozzy, so.
Well, I think with Tommy and Glenn, I mean, that it's going to be a heavy, loud live show.
Yeah, it's gonna be insanity. I mean, that's the other thing is Glenn's bass playing, his bass tone is ferocious. There's like, I mean, he doesn't even need a guitar. He doesn't, and now he's got two guitars, which is actually cool. It's the first time Glenn's been in a situation with two guitar players. But yeah, it's going to be thunderous. I can't wait.
And we mentioned briefly Revolution Saints. Has that band kind of run its course now, or do you guys foresee getting back together at some point?
You never say never, but I mean, at this point, Glenn and I, and the guys, of course, David, we're 1,000% dedicated to promoting this record. We want it to, we want to get out there and promote it properly the way that we should with tours, so not sure when that's going to happen. It will definitely happen at some point. And it's getting, a little bit better where I am anyways. It's been such a complicated time for travel. We're just going to wait until it's clean to travel and it's safe, and definitely going to get the vaccine. I think it'll probably be a necessity to travel in and out of countries anyways. But it's similar to the situation when you go to parts of Brazil. You have to make sure you got the yellow fever shot.
All the shots, and
well, the yellow fever especially is like it's down there, it's in the mosquitoes and stuff, and it's like, man, do we have to get a shot for real? Is it really that bad? It's like, well, if you get stung by a mosquito and it happens to be carrying the yellow fever, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah,
And
it's worth it.
so I did it.
Mm,
I got the shot.
mm,
It was 12 years ago, or
mm,
21 or 13 years ago. So I'm going to do the same thing with this.
mhm,
I want to be able to travel and play, and the band has an idea for a brand new stage production, which we're
mm.
really excited about. So that's what we're going to do. Meanwhile, while we've been home, we've been doing what we could to keep connected with the fans and our
Mhm.
friends. And Glenn and I have done a little bit of work on some new music that we're very excited about that as
Nice.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so who knows what happens, but we'll be on the road as soon as we possibly can.
But, and if it seems as though a lot of what we're hearing is, maybe fourth quarter this year, things will open up, people start getting back on the road, depending on size of venues and things like that. You mentioned you guys have been doing some writing. If that is delayed even longer, I mean, do you foresee maybe, another record coming out before you could hit the road, or is it just we'll play
I
it how we
think
see
we'll
it?
I think we would start, we'd have a lot of work to do probably,
Hmm.
to get the record prepared. We'd want to, I need to spend some time with David going over some of his stuff he's
Yeah.
been working on, and then get him and Glenn together, so it would take us to we'd have to focus somewhere like we did on
Yeah.
Holy Ground. But right now we really are itching to play
Hmm.
sometime this year, start touring. We've got some stuff, I think, in the fall that we're hoping will stick,
Hmm.
so fingers crossed. And then we
Definitely.
once it starts, we're going to hit everywhere.
Hmm.
The record's been out for about a week now, and the chart positions are really good, and
Hmm.
the support has been there. We're really grateful for it, so we want to get out and play it live.
Yeah, we've been spending some time here with Doug Aldrich of Dead Daisies. The new record is called Holy Ground. It's amazing. I've been a huge fan of yours and the band, and I'm a huge fan of Glenn. So putting all of you guys together, it's just an incredible record. You really knocked it out of the park. It's
Thanks, Jeff.
available everywhere. Yeah,
I was
you
just
could.
going to say we couldn't, we couldn't have done it any other way than how we did it. And Glenn brought a lot to the band. He's a treasure in the music industry, and definitely it's probably the most melodic record that we've done as a band, for sure.
It's available everywhere. It's on all streaming services. There's physical product available. And Doug, thanks a lot for taking some time here again today. Look forward to catching you on the road. Get to say hi in person sometime. And you're always welcome
Absolutely.
with any project you have.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. You take it easy, keep healthy,
You too.
and I'll see you as soon as possible.
You got
And
it, my
thanks to
friend. Thank you.
okay,
Bye.
bro. Thanks. Bye bye.